Hi, guys, and welcome. For those of you who are new here, my name is Kathleen. I am a wife, a mom to two beautiful girls, and a business owner. This blog is mainly about lifestyle, from entrepreneurship to starting your own business to beauty and health routines that I follow at the beauty studio. If you've seen any of my previous vlogs, we've been going through our starting your own business checklist, and we are also interviewing entrepreneurs who have started their own businesses and just finding out a bit more about the journey of starting your own business and where they are now. So today I am very pleased to welcome Mirelle Wong Cardso, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm a psychological counselor, and I specialize in trauma and addiction, amongst many other fields.
Okay. So what is the name of your business?
So I've started my private practice. I've been in private practice now for a year. And the name of my company is MWC Psychology and Wellness.
Mm-hmm. And how did you choose that name? Obviously, I'm hearing the M, the W, so it's come from your name. So is that why?
Yes, so it comes from my name. But then I added psychology and wellness, basically, yes, because I do psychology. But my focus was on the wellness part of the name. I wanted to do a widespread of wellness, and part of wellness isn't just our mental health, but looking at holistic healing, so physical wellness, emotional wellness, and beauty wellness.
Lovely, I like a lot.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of psychology that you do. So there are obviously other psychology. Psychology is not just one basket. It's obviously a different baskets. Can you give us maybe 2 or 3 different examples of other psychology as well?
So, I mean, there are many schools of psychology, and people, when they study psychology, they just think psychology, and it's an overall. But the science of psychology can be broken down into different areas, and we get clinical psychology, and then our clinical psychologists do a lot of the clinical work, a lot of the work that we do with our psychiatrists, disorders, difficulties in the clinical sphere. We find a lot of that in hospital environments, but they're not only in hospital environments, but that's what it was geared towards. And then we have psychological counselors, and we have counseling psychologists as well. So in all of this, we just focus on different scopes. Ultimately, that's what it is.
And how long have you been in the industry?
I have been in the industry now for 7 years. Yeah. So I did it for 4 years.
For a year, hey? By yourself, you've been practicing for a year.
Yes. So my private practice, it's been a year, and apart from that, I've been working in rehabilitation, drug and alcohol rehabilitation centers. Loved working in drug and alcohol rehabilitations. Loved it.
So what is it that you like about your industry, the industry that you work in? Obviously, you're saying now you've enjoyed or you love working in that industry. What do you love about that industry?
You know, I think that especially working in drug and alcohol rehabilitations, it's the area where a lot of people don't understand addiction. And what I loved is seeing people come in that are struggling with addiction, and their families come in that are struggling with addiction, and watching people heal themselves, watching people make changes. That's what I loved, is seeing a person come in broken and build themselves, and just watch their lives integrate, and watch people, like find love in themselves, something that people come into rehab without, that's watching people build their self-esteem. And to be a part of that process, it's gratifying. It really is gratifying.
And what would you say is the most challenging thing about working in your industry?
So working in my industry, especially if we're looking at addiction, it's a lot of the relapses that take place. I always say relapse is not part of recovery, but it does happen as part of the disease of addiction. So that's the challenging part, because once people relapse, it's difficult to get them back into, a healthy routine again. But also, just in therapeutic environments in general, it's people coming in for therapy, and after a couple of sessions, they're like, thank you for the help, but I don't need to come back. That's the challenging part, because then they start therapy and then there's a bit of a regression. But this is people, they want to try it a little bit. It's sort of like when we get antibiotics from the doctor, he says finish your prescription. So people don't really finish their prescription. It's basically the same thing, and that's the challenge.
I think you sort of answered this, but I just want to go through it. What is the most rewarding thing about your industry? I think you sort of answered it as well when you said, what is it that you like about your industry? Yeah, it's seeing people heal themselves or get help.
That's it. Watching people get help, heal themselves, and stay healthy. Definitely, that's the most rewarding. I think that, in humanity, we see a lot of people and our hearts break when we see people struggling, and being able to see people rebuild themselves. That's the most, I think, gratifying of this. Yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to go back to your company. Just once again, just tell us the name of your company and exactly what you offer, what kind of services that you offer at your company.
So the name of my company, MWC Psychology and Wellness, and what we offer actually during this COVID lockdown, we're offering online therapy. I love it. We offer individual online therapy. We're also offering group therapy, like-minded people coming together and just assisting each other. So I'm doing a lot of online work. And hopefully when the lockdown and we pass this COVID, because I do believe that we'll get past this. I am looking at doing one-on-ones, group therapy. I do courses. I do a lot of referrals to people in the industry, like people that come in and we want to get healthy. Fine. Let's do a referral to a nutritionist. Let's do a referral to someone that can help you in terms of physio. So a lot of referrals I do. And it's basically the wellness part of it is just trying to get people to get holistic health, holistic building.
So now tell me, when you were registering a company, was that a difficult thing for you? Was it an easy thing? How did you find the process of actually registering your company?
When we think about registering a company, we think it's so daunting. So at first, it did seem like it was going to be daunting. It did feel like there was going to be a lot of paperwork involved. And actually, I got in touch with a lawyer, and he put me in touch with an accountant. And it was just 2 quick phone calls. And the accountant said, look, Mirelle, send me a couple of names that you're interested in. Tell me what your business does, and I'll do it for you. And he did a lot of the paperwork for me. I just needed to sign on the dotted line, send a few papers in, and that was it. So my registration wasn't that complicated as I thought it would be.
And tell me something. So after you've done all of that, the registration and all of that, do you still need to research your competition? Because obviously in any business, you need to research your competition. You obviously, know your target market, but you still need to do other forms of research because it is a business as well.
Definitely. It is. And I mean, a lot of the research that I had to do was around what therapists are in my area, what area has a shortage of therapists that do what I do. And so I was looking at doing therapy in the Bryanston area, for example, and I found that there were a lot of therapists doing wellness work, Bryanston, Fourways area, and there wasn't a shortage around Randburg. So there are a lot of rehabilitation centers in Randburg, but there aren't a lot of private practices that focus on addiction in the area. And so I thought that was my in. But I also do a lot of consulting at other treatment centers. And that also helped me look at what was the need in those areas. So I did a little bit of an analysis of what the people need out there. Yeah.
So now to get to where you are, obviously you have to study. So
yes.
What did you study?
So I studied at Midrand Graduate Institute, and I studied a B-Psych degree. It's an Australian course, but I found that they did it at Midrand Graduate Institute, and I thought, okay, well, 4 years, and I can start practicing, so let's go that route. And I loved it. We covered a lot of, work, training that was very practical. It did gears towards doing a lot of research work. So I loved the course. The fourth year, on the other hand, was quite difficult because my honors year, I had to do an internship, I had to do full classes, and I had to do a dissertation all in 1 year. So it was very challenging, but worth the challenge because I feel that it gave me a lot of motivation and a lot of drive to do what I did thereafter. So that's the beauty about the B-Psych degree, the B-Psych honors degree, is that you can register after you do a 4th year honors and start practicing. Obviously with supervision and that sort of a thing in the beginning. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. What else do I want to ask you? So thank you so much for that. I'm going to go into a bit of what's happening right now. So currently we are in lockdown. We are in South Africa, for those of you who are watching outside of South Africa. We are currently in the lockdown, and they have just announced that the 1st of May 2020, they will be going to stage 4. Now, stage 4 is still essentially a lockdown, but there's more what was the word? It's more open. And so there's certain things that are opening up, stores and this and that is opening up. But there are still some industries that will not be allowed to open at the moment, and for me, one of my shops, the beauty studio, won't be allowed to open because obviously it is high risk, seeing people on an everyday basis. So I think we are only in stage 1, so we've still got a long way to go. And there's obviously a lot of other people who are obviously in the same boat as me, and they are thinking, we're only in stage 4, we haven't even got to stage 3, we are only in stage 1. Now, already the lockdown was stressful. I mean, now I have to go back to work, but other people are not allowed to open, so now I'm stressed. I can't open because I'm not at stage 4, so I'm stressed. So there's stress on so many different levels, and so many different people are feeling it in so many different ways. So I don't know if I'm asking the question correctly, but how would you advise someone to, to sort of, de-stress, or what process? I don't know if I'm asking the right question, but I think you can add on.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very important question, actually, Kathy, in that there's a lot of change that's happening for us. And I think the change of coming into the lockdown was difficult, and people started adjusting to that change. And then once we've just about adjusted to that, they're like, oh yeah, but we're going to give you a little bit of curfew. And we'll give you a little bit of freedom in these areas, which then again brings a different type of change for people. So with people just struggling with change in general, my take is, and this is what I've been saying to a lot of my clients, is we just need to look at what can I do here where I am in this moment. And for me, that would be dealing with the stress, dealing with the anxiety and the pressure. And just small things that we can put in place. So, I mean, when we're stressed and we're going through change, the first things that go out the window for us is our eating and our sleeping habits. And if we could realign our eating habits, drink a little bit more water, just give our bodies a little bit of energy, that I think makes a huge difference, firstly. And secondly, I would say the news. Can we watch less news? And if we are going to watch the news, can we not go according to what's on social media? I believe social media, it's not a lot of facts. We need to look at what's the science behind this. And if we do want to know the news and we do want to know what's really going on, World Health Organization is the best place to get information. So have a look there, dip your mind into some of that, but not in such a way where it builds panic and stress and anxiety for us. I think that this is the time when we can spend time with our families, do things like, picking up on hobbies, things that we weren't doing before. Now's the time for it. But we can't say, well, I don't have the time, right? So we've got the time for it. And I think that taking care of our physical well-being is important as well. But I think the main thing is that there are a lot of therapists out there that are doing online. I'm doing online. I've got a therapist that I work very closely with as well, and she's also doing online. And that's where we can get a lot of support. A lot of people that are struggling with this lockdown. A lot of people that are saying, well, I need to support my family and I don't have the means because I can't go to work. Those type of people have an opportunity to come together and bounce some ideas off each other in places like a group therapy, which I think is more like a support space where people say, okay, well, these are some of my ideas. This is, what I did to handle this, and just give each other a little bit of like safety space. I feel like that's really important in this time. But I think most importantly is for us to take care of our inner selves. If we're so focused on the things that we can't control, we're so focused on the negativity, that's when I feel like we start to give up a little bit on what's going on, and it creates more stress and anxiety. So definitely a self-care. That's what I think that we need to do in these stressful times.
I like that. So I know you for your personal side, I know you said you started yoga and you're loving yoga.
Loving it, yeah. I mean, I love the fact that I could just zone into my body and what my body needs, and it's all the stretching that I love as well. I feel that I release so much more stress that way. And I've tried, the walking and the running, and I've done all of the other, tidbits. But the one that's worked for me personally, definitely yoga. Love it, and I do it every morning. And if I skip a morning, definitely catch up at night. So I would definitely, recommend doing some yoga. Yeah, it's very good for releasing tension in our bodies.
All right, thank you so much for that. And then I am going to ask you, give me 4 beauty products that you can't live without.
4 beauty products that are for curly girls. I have very curly hair, and I definitely say my most important products, hair products, just to give my hair some moisture and strengthen it. So I use sulfate-free and paraben-free shampoos and conditioners on my hair. So that's 2 down shampoo conditioner. And then I use a moisture locking hair cream. So after I've done my shampoo and my conditioner, I put in a mask, and that just keeps my hair strong and healthy. So those are my favorite ones. And fourthly, a lip sugar. So I give my lips a scrub every 2nd or 3rd day, especially with weather changing now. We're going into drier season. So I like to do a little bit of a sugar lip scrub and moisturize my lips and keep them moisturized. So those are my beauty products I cannot live without.
Okay.
especially being in lockdown.
Oh, no, definitely, definitely. And what does a successful 2020 look like for you personally?
For me, you know, for me personally, one of the things that I came into 2020 wanting to do is to not only build my private practice, but to give back to the community. And I think that if I could get the opportunity, after lockdown to do that, I will grab it with both hands. I want to do some pro bono work for communities that are struggling, that need a little bit of support. And if I can get that right, that would be success for me. If I can get the opportunity to watch people rebuild their self-esteems, get people educated in how to grow their own little businesses, for example, to motivate people. That for me would be successful, because that's something that I went through last year in starting my private practice. I needed a lot of motivation. I needed a lot of, chit chat. And it's really gave me a lot of strength in a time when I had moments of giving up. So I think in 2020, I want to give some of that back to people that I feel need it, and people that want it, people that are asking for help and feeling like there isn't options, that they don't have options. It's more about saying to people there are options. So let's look at your options. And if I can do that, if I can help people out in building their own inner strength, motivation, that's successful for me. That would be a successful tweet. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, we are going to catch up after the lockdown. We will have another sit down and see where you are and what you're doing. But thank you so much for sitting down with me and having this discussion. I will have Mirelle's information in the description below, and her social media handles and her email address will all be on there if you need to reach out and make an appointment or reach out and speak to her. If she's studying psychology, you have a couple of questions. I think she's a really good person to be in touch with and to listen to as well. So thank you so much. People, please remember to subscribe, and we will come back with an update with Mirelle after lockdown. But thank you so much. And thank you so much, Mirelle.